Baritones, let's move down a little bit this way. Okay, one up. What's that? All right, shift in and slide in. Slide in. So we're okay. Now, we're not going to make any sound. Except to get a little bit of tone going. We're not going to make singing. I just want you to get as much piercing sound from these masks so it projects as much as possible. Just like that, and go. Make it higher and more pressure from here. Go. Okay. Go. Yeah, up the octave, soprano, alto, and go. Because I still don't know the numbers, I don't know what we're talking about here, the easiest thing to do is have the sopranos come last, but you're on there, that side. Because of numbers, we're going to have the altos recess first. Altos lead the first two rows for the duets, okay? And then we're just going to cascade back, and whatever seats are empty, then our guests can come and sit back there, okay? Because I don't want to take up the whole side if we don't need to. Cool? All right, guys. Remember what I said on Wednesday night? You're here to celebrate because we've been asked to lead in celebration. As hard as that is, and it is, I know we can do it because we want to do it, okay? We're here for that. All right, guys? You're beautiful people. This is an incredible thing. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by all of this. This is beautiful. So, let's get ready to do our job today, to celebrate and to help this family heal, okay? All right, altos, if you could start. Yeah, just come on in. We got to move as quickly as possible too. There's a lot of people, so we want to have the transition be as seamless as possible. Okay. It's going to take some time, but let's try to be as quick as possible. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome.
Well, good afternoon. My name is George Searfoss. I'm one of the pastors here at Hope Community Church. And I wanted to say to start out that we welcome you and we want to serve you guys in any way. So if you need anything while you're here, please let one of our ushers or one of our greeters know, and we'll be happy to serve you and the Patel family. I also wanted to say that today is a day that you will see every kind of emotion here, and everything is welcome here. So, like after that first performance and ceremony that just happened, we expect there to be cheering. We expect there to be applause. This is a place where the community comes together, and whatever type of emotions, just let it out. It's perfectly okay. Here at Hope, we have this open policy where if you're crying, you're going to cry. If you're going to laugh. Just please be yourself. And the last thing I wanted to know, just in a way of those that are watching from online throughout the world, we are highly recommending that you go to a Boxcast versus the YouTube. On your YouTube, one of the first comments you'll see is that Boxcast, in case you get kicked off, because some of our live performances, we don't know which one of those live performances might get us kicked off. You won't get kicked off a Boxcast, so we want you to be able to see this whole service. I think that you're in for a treat. And I just wanted to say that for all the people that have put time and effort into it, and thank you, Nita, for all the work of getting this wonderful thing that you're about ready to see. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Microphone would be the best. Hi, I am Neil's Aunt Wendy, and I would like to, on behalf of the entire Patel family, welcome all of you here to celebrate Neil's life. And that is what we would like it to be, a celebration of Neil, because if there was ever a life that deserved to be celebrated, it was for this boy. I know some of you may be thinking, she does not look like the other Patels. Good eye, my hair is a little lighter. That is because I am adopted. I like to think of myself as an honorary Patel, and I know there are a lot of honorary Patels sitting out there. Because thanking the Temple University Housing Department for that, because they placed me with Neil's Aunt Nita 30 years ago. And I have been a part of the family ever since. And thank you so much for that honor. And so many of you have experienced that, because as you know, there are no strangers to the Patels, and every friend is family. And I bring that up because that is how we got this amazing boy. They are a big family with such a big heart, and that big heart is what produced this wonderful young man, and he lived every day of his life that way. And you are such an example of that. Over the last 4 months, the outpouring, the notes, the letters, the cards that we read, I, for one, learned so much about how much he did, and I know his family did too. We knew he was involved and he had lots of friends, but we had no idea. And this is just such an example of that. And the one thing, as I look up there at that face and that $1 million smile of his, the only thing bigger than that smile was his heart. Maybe his appetite. The appetite may a close second. But that heart. And as we all try to make sense of this, I know it's difficult, and I don't think we ever will. I think of all the images of him in pictures, and there's this one picture that has always been my favorite, and many of you have probably seen it. Nita has it hanging in her entryway. Neil's father took a of Neil on a vacation, of him throwing a rock into a lake. And he captured the exact moment that rock made impact and that splash. And as I'm trying to make sense of this, 20 years, not enough. But we see all he was able to do in his 20 years and all the lives he has touched. And I just keep coming back to that picture, and I see that was Neil. He cast his life out there. And that stone, that impact is him, and all the wonderful things he did. So just as quick with a joke as he was with a hug. And that's impact, and even though the stone, will go below the surface, those ripples carry on and touch so many people. And Neil, he did that. He threw his life out there, and those ripples have carried on and have impacted so many people. So I, for one, am going to choose to measure his life, not in years, but in the ripples, in those ripples that he has sent out. Because all of us, all of our years are going to run out at some point, no matter how many we get. But the ripples that we make are going to continue on if you do it right. And Neil, my boy, you did it right. Look at this. So to the Patels, I want to thank you so much for letting me be a part of Neil's life for the past 20 years. Our unicorn. And I am going to carry him, and I know Morgan, my daughter, my whole family, we're going to carry him in our hearts forever. I love you, Neil. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Joe Galdi. The piece we're going to perform is called MLK. It was a request from the Patel family. This was a song that I sang with Neil in the choir. He had the solo for it, and we're just going to be singing it in memory of him. Sleep, sleep tonight, and may your dreams be realized. If the thundercloud passes rain, so let it rain, rain down on him.
Good afternoon.
Good
and,
afternoon.
And thank you for joining us to celebrate the one and only Neil Patel. I am Vaishal Patel, and she's my wife, Sheetal Patel. We are one of the many blessed uncles and aunts of Neil, with whom Neil had shared unconditional love, laughter, and wisdom. I met Neil when he was 3 years old and absolutely full of life. I don't know what connection we had because that was the first time I ever saw him, but obviously something clicked very well to make it in a way that I could go see him every evening and we'd play together. A year later, when I landed in the US, our connection just got deeper. And I started hearing Vaishu Kaka, which means uncle, at least a few hundred times a day, especially when I'm not paying attention to him. As Neil got older and got busy with his life, like we all know how much he did, he was absolutely busy. I didn't hear that Vaishu Kaka too much. But every now and then when he called, to me, it sounded that same Vaishu Kaka that I heard when he was 3. I have been very fortunate to have played music with Neil and being a part of his musical journey. He was only 5 when we started Indian percussion instrument called tabla and taking lessons with Mr. Lanny, who just performed. I remember the time when we first went for the lesson, his fingers were too small to play the instrument and brain too small to digest the rhythmic patterns. But boy, oh boy, what an incredible journey Neil made for himself to become a musician that he was. In his early days of music, it appeared to me like I was teaching him a thing or two, but in reality, he contributed massively to further expand my musical interest and skills. I cannot thank enough to Neil for keeping musical spark alive in me and in my life that I wish to pass on to my children. For me, Neil, you will go down as one of the most dedicated musicians of all time that I played with. When I look back and analyze how Neil lived his life, I can only wish if I could do what he's able to do. I recall Neil would sit in my car when he was around 5 years old and listen to this Bollywood song that a lot of us know. It's called All Is Well. He would listen to that song over and over and over again. I would take him to places and he would listen to that same song, and I guarantee you he did not know any word besides All Is Well. He heard it so many times that at some point he would get in my car and he calls me, Vaishu Kaka, CD number 3, song number 1. Okay, sir, you got it. I don't know how much of that song has influence on his life, but certainly he adopted the principles of that song. All these years that I've been with Neil, I don't think I ever heard him regret for his past or talking too much about his future. He lived in the present like there is no tomorrow. And more importantly, he brought smiles and comfort everywhere he went. I also recall the time when Neil was little and played tag football. A lot of us were there for almost every game when he played. I cannot tell you how incredibly proud we were to see a Patel jersey on the field. At times, we all made joke about his unique running style, and we all sit there and shaking our heads in despair, thinking of him being one more struggling Patel on the field. But he made us quickly realize how wrong we were. Although he did not translate into some sort of a wide receiver, but he performed impressively well as a baseball catcher. He proved us all wrong again when he put up this massive fight of his life against COVID-19. He tried his best to reunite with us, but came up a little short. Neil's strength and perseverance was undoubtedly the best I've ever seen.
For For me, Neil was my first friend in the US. When I first landed in the United States, he was only 8 years old. He would hang out with me to simply give me a company. Poor kid, he tried really hard to teach me video games, but I couldn't learn. However, I'm very fortunate to have spent time with him and be present with most of his concerts, plays, and sporting events. He would personally call us to invite for his own events. I am afraid if my own kid would do this someday. Neil was a great role model and inspiration to our young kid, Kavya and Rashi. Despite of being incredibly busy in his schedule, he always made time to stand beside them to blow their birthday candles every year. He assured to show up for each Christmas, Thanksgiving, Diwali, and Rakhi celebration to play with his younger cousin and friends. He listens to their funny stories, taught them riddles and tricks, played Tickle Monster with them, and pretended to have pranked by their silly pranks. He often scheduled virtual gathering over COVID lockdown to bring family and friends together. He led by example to show young kids that there are priorities, values, and expectations in life, no matter how busy you are and whether you are in the world, wherever you are in the world. I promise you, Neil, that I will make every attempt to carry forward your values to the next generation.
So finally, this is not a goodbye to Neil. This is a thank you for his time, his love, his laughter, his unity, and his wisdom that he gave us. This is a good luck to Neil to do great work with whatever family he ends up at. We love you, Neil, for always.
We love you, Nini.
My name's Mike Popowitz, and I happened to hit the lottery when the Patels moved next door to me before Neil was born. I think Wendy stole my speech because I, too, am an honorary Patel. I don't exactly fit the mold, but I am honored. I touched his jersey because today on my way over here, I turned the radio on and the theme for Rocky came on. That's what they called him, Rocky. I don't like to speak in public. I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't like to be on camera. Everything that Neil loved. But we somehow got along. I will miss talking to Neil. You know, he's a child, he's a young man, but we had times together in our yards or wherever, and he would just talk to me. And he would tell me about his life. He would tell me about his friends. He would tell me about his trips that he would do. So I didn't have to do anything that Neil did because I heard all about it, and I've experienced it all. He's lived a full life. He was lucky in that way. We were all lucky that he was a part of ours. I can't make sense of what happened. There's a loss of this wonderful young man. I feel that my life is better for knowing him, and I believe all of yours are as well. He's going to leave a lasting legacy on us all. I will miss the conversations. I will do my best to honor him. I'd like to support the causes that were dear to his heart, and be there to support his family because I know that would be very important to him. I hope everybody can walk away today from this tragedy and take a piece of Neil with them and pay it forward. Neil, you were a warrior. You were a hero. and you were an inspiration. We love you, and I will miss you. Thank you.
Lucky. So lucky. Anyone who got to spend time with Neil would tell you that they were enriched and made greater for it. Every one of Neil's teachers would tell you how lucky they are. But I got 2 whole years of teaching Neil. Unbelievably fortunate. Neil walked into my classroom junior year and changed everything. Neil and his crew, I don't know exactly how to describe the people that got pulled to him by his gravity and got pulled into his orbit and shared time with him. But that crew broke down my walls and showed me how fun physics could be. When I tell you, he calculated and then figured out how to shoot a Hot Wheels car diagonally off of a cliff and have it land in a cup that was on the back of another car that was moving, and that the classroom erupted with applause when he did it. You don't have to take my word for it because he tweeted Dr. Tolino, so you can see that. But those are the magic moments that happen when you get to teach Neil. A moment like that is so profound you count your blessings. But I got 2 years. Since we'd mastered honors gravity together, we decided to both move on to AP because I was cosmically fortunate enough to move to AP when he was ready to destroy it. He managed to get most of his work done, even though he was juggling a million things. But don't worry, even though he was doing 5,000 activities, he would still walk into each test and get a perfect 5, just to remind you how Neil is. But we also, incidentally, both love musical theater. And so the summer between physicses, I got the opportunity to direct Firebird Theater's Beauty and the Beast. And I was unbelievably lucky to find out I already knew the perfect Lumiere. And in an instant, another organization and another family was swept up in his gravity and pulled into his orbit. And that should be the end of my story. Coincidence and luck can only take you so far. But for Neil's senior year, suddenly they needed a director. And I, at least technically, was steering the wheel of that musical. But Drowsy Chaperone was a musical that was driven by the bond of its ensemble. A crew that was created by Neil's inescapable gravity long before I arrived, and one that clearly continues today. I'm still astonished by the things that crew accomplished. And while Neil is no longer bound by the laws of physics, if he ever was, I am unbelievably thankful for the 2 years I spent in his orbit feeling the immensity of his gravity. I am so lucky. We all are.
Hi, everyone. So Neil was part of our core group of friends for most of middle school and through all of high school. And we've also been keeping the Patels company on Friday nights each week since Neil was in the hospital. I'm Grace, and Haley, CJ, Maddie, Grace, Nick, Andrew, Sal, and Andrew. And Andrew and maybe some others of us will be saying our own words at the end. Andrew definitely will be. But we all just wanted to come up as a group and kind of share some of our funny memories of Neil if we can get them out. So we'll see how it goes. But when at the end of 2020, when numbers were going back up with the pandemic, we all, or I think most of us in this group, yeah, probably, realized that we would probably have to get a job together in order to hang out. So some of us, and Neil included, worked at Taco Bell. And there was one night where it was just Neil and I working, and we were recruited to go to a farther location that was more high volume, a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, if you will. And there was a horrible, horrible ice storm the day that Neil and I went together. He drove, and when we came out, it was like midnight at the end of our shift, and his car was covered in the thickest layer of ice I have ever seen. And Neil, of course, was like, you get in the car, you warm up, charge your phone, I got it. And he grabbed his ice scraper, and he comes over to the passenger side window, so I'm sitting in the car, and I could see him right there, and he starts tapping at the ice, and the scraper just immediately snaps off. And he was just like, and it was so funny. So we just stood there in the parking lot for an hour while we waited for the ice to melt.
Hi, my name is Andrew Brownlee. I had the pleasure of playing baseball with Neil growing up. There was a really random year of swimming in between that, but we grew really close these past couple of years, and it was an honor to get as close with him as you did. And if you spent time with Neil, you really knew that all the time was going to be fun. It was never going to be dull, and this is just one of my favorite stories. So Neil, Nick, and I had a show called Attack on Titan that we really like to watch. Every Sunday, like 10 o'clock, we'd be at Nick's house. That's what it was. And I remember we were going over Nick's at 10, but Neil had come over to my house about an hour before. He was working on this beat. We were just listening to loops, catching up, and before we knew it, it was literally 12 o'clock, and we had checked, and we had just completely blown Nick off. And I remember one of us had texted him, got no answer, 10 minutes. We knew he was asleep, and he was like, you want to go over there? And I was like, yeah. So we ended up going over to Nick's house, walked into his room. The second we opened the door, he hears us. He just tells us to get the hell out of there. And being the good friends that we are, instead of getting out of his house, we just walked into his living room. And since he's the one that has the Hulu account, we booted up the Hulu. And I remember Nick's sister was sleeping there with a couple of her friends. And we had to turn the TV on like 4 volume. And it was probably 1 o'clock at this point. We were just watching our show and laughing about it, whispering, trying not to wake them up. And I remember going home that night, like 2:30 in the morning, and he's dropping me off, and Neil was the kind of guy where I would just had wished there was more stuff for us to do that night. I wasn't tired, he wasn't tired, and just the time that you spent with him was genuinely just a good time. So I just thank you so much, Neil, I love you, and I appreciate the friendship that we had.
I have, more stories than I can even think of to tell, but one that kind of just shows off who Neil was is another one, of course, from Taco Bell. It was when we first got hired, we're just learning. This is Neil's like 4th shift, and he only wanted to fry this whole time, so he's finally making the food. And we're going, they got the timer going, we're freaking out, trying to learn all these things, and I just bump Neil. And I kid you not, he does this. And I'm like, Neil, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds to get this taco out. I can't have you doing this right now, And he looked at me with just those puppy dog eyes under the mask with the hairnet. I know, Aunt Nita, you remember the long hair. And was just, I'm sorry. And I was like, Neil, not right now. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Hi, everyone. I've known Neil since kindergarten, but I'd like to tell a quick story from high school. All of us like to go to Philadelphia and New York a lot just for the weekend. And one time we were in Philadelphia, we were all just walking down the street. We didn't really know what we were doing. We had no plans, but all of a sudden we're walking, and I think one of us goes, hey, where did Neil go? No one has any idea where Neil is. We're kind of confused. He pops out from the side of a building. We have no idea where he went, and he just goes, hey, guys, I signed us up for an escape room. So, yeah, that's what Neil was doing, and we had no idea where he was. But Neil was really into just exploring, and he was so adventurous, and he loved us all, and we'll miss him very much.
Hi, I'm CJ. When we did our junior class trip to Disney, Andrew, Neil, and I were all in a room together, and Neil was planning on asking Maddie out for months. To prom. But in usual Neil fashion, he was kind of last minute at some things. And the day, I think it was our last day in Disney, and he was working on the poster the entire night. Andrew and I would roll over. It's 2 a.m. We see Neil with the little light making his poster. We wake up at 4 a.m. There's Neil going away at his poster. He did do it, and Maddie did go to the prom with him.
Yeah. So Andrew is going to say his own words after me, but I just wanted to wrap up and say that while we will spend the rest of our lives missing Neil and wishing that he had more days with us than he was given, what a gift it has been to tell these stories to each other and collect more memories of Neil even after he's gone. What a gift it will be to know that the memories of him live inside us when we're together and travel with us in all different directions when we go our separate ways. What a gift to know that when we make the trip home to visit family, we will also be visiting Neil's family, because they have become our family more than any of us could have imagined, and because the memory of Neil lives on in them too. Neil, the hole you leave behind in our lives is gaping and permanent, but we will fill it with our love for each other and the happy, funny, genuine, beautiful memory of you. We love you forever.
So hello, my name's Andrew. I wanted to share a couple of things that I learned about Neil, but I think it's only right that I share that through a story, because that's how Neil would do it. So I met Neil back in middle school in 5th grade, and we became really good friends in 5th grade and throughout middle school and high school, like Grace said. But good enough friends that in 8th grade, our parents got together and they started talking, and they decided that they wanted to surprise Neil by letting me go along on their trip to Mount Tremblant up in Quebec, Canada. So I showed up at their house at 6 in the morning one day when we were leaving, and Neil was so surprised and he was so stoked, and we made the, 13-hour drive all the way up to Canada. We were supposed to be there for 3 or 4 days, just a weekend, and then a couple days we were gonna miss school. But Neil is driven and passionate, and he decided that he really wanted to stay for a couple more days. So he was practically begging Mr. Patel to let us stay, and he broke down and we stayed. I took a couple unlawful absences for that one, because I had already missed a lot of school. But we stayed in Canada, and one of the things that came out of that was we were able to go dog sledding, which was this amazing experience. We walked into this place. It was kind of off like a dirt road, and we drove in, and we're driving past dozens and dozens of huskies, and Neil's eyes are just lighting up like I've never seen them light up before. If you know anything about Neil, you know that he really loves dogs, and huskies are his favorite dog. And I like to believe that it was that experience of going up and dog sledding with all those huskies that led to the Patels then getting Karma, their crazy husky puppy that they have right now. But there's 3 things I take out of that story. Like I said earlier, Neil's passionate. He is very intense when he chooses his friends. I don't really understand how the 10 of us managed to become the group that Neil was always around, but just looking around, I see like hundreds of people that would all be some of Neil's very best friends, because he doesn't know how to have a not best friend. He's also so he's passionate, he's very lovable, I think we all know that. But the real thing that sticks out to me is how joyful he was. I chose joy specifically because I didn't want to say he was happy, because he definitely wasn't always happy, and our lives aren't always happy, but Neil somehow knew how to be joyful rather than just happy. He understood that joy goes a lot deeper than that circumstantial happiness, and he brought that out. And that's why all of our memories of him are just full of love and laughter, because Neil didn't really care exactly what was going on. He knew that there was something good to it and that there was something to be joyful about. And that's why I will cherish those memories of Neil forever and hold those very tightly, because he really taught me and showed me how to be joyful in everything. So Neil, rest easy. All of us love you very, very much, and we'll be with you forever. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Preston, and this is the lovely Melody Sweeney.
Hi.
Picking a song to commemorate Neil was an especially difficult task, as there are so many songs that could accurately represent his love and his light. When I was going through the choices, I was stuck. But the second I opened my mouth to begin singing this song, I felt a cool, calming shiver down my spine. Neil always held us above and pushed us to be the very best versions of ourselves. And I knew it was his hand on my shoulder telling me it would be okay. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Hi, everyone. I am Kamal, one of Neil's extended uncles who, like Neil, was a Scorpio and went to Penn State. To say that Neil was special is an understatement. As many of you know, he had a unique way of speaking. Never did a straight sentence come out of his mouth. He always smiled and had quick-witted responses to everything, whether it was in person or even over text. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'll share a few quick text discussions that we had. A couple years ago, I had reached out to him because I couldn't get a hold of his dad. I texted and asked him, "Where's your daddy?" With a laughing emoticon, he responded, "Never say daddy again, please." Of course, I proceeded to say, "Who's your daddy?" He said, "Okay, bye, that's just weird." I said, "He's not responding to text or calls, so I'm just asking you, dude." He said, "What are you, an obsessed girlfriend?" Mind you, all along, he knew exactly where his daddy was. More recently, on the day before he was transferred from Einstein to Penn Presbyterian Hospital, I reached out to him and texted, "Hey buddy, looking forward to celebrating your second coming." Honestly, I didn't really expect a response because the day before, he just liked any of the messages I sent, as I'm sure he was pretty tired. But this time, even as sick as he was, his wacky brain had an immediate response. Jesus ain't gonna have nothing on this resurrection. As Nita said to me yesterday, we will all have to continue to resurrect his humorous spirit and ensure it lives on forever. For all of his Penn State family here, I was unable to be at Neil's high school graduation, but I did watch the video afterwards. For those of you that remember, there were many sentences in his speech that started with, "We are this," or "We are that." I kept waiting for him to say, and for my uncle who is in here today, well, I'll finish the incomplete part of your speech today, Neil. And in your place, I will say to your PSU family, we are Penn State, and we will forever be Neil Strong. Thanks.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah. I tried to think of a specific memory to encompass what made Neil so special, but I really couldn't. It was everything about him to me. He was my role model and my big brother through all our moments in life. From the second I stepped foot into Upper Marion High School as the very annoying freshman that I was, I immediately looked up to him. He was everything I wanted to be. Amazing at theater, amazing at sports, amazing at making friends, and smarter than I could ever hope to be. I wanted to say that he outshines everyone in the room, but that didn't feel right because he doesn't outshine. He brightens every person's light in the room with his own radiance. I wanted to be a part of that so badly. So I wiggled my way in there and asked for rides home from school pretty much every day. And Neil did it every day without complaint. With the windows rolled down and show tunes blasting from the speakers, we drove home. We had hours of talks in that parked car outside my house when neither of us were really ready to part yet. After one of those talks, as I was leaving, I hurriedly threw a "bye" over my shoulder at him. He grabbed my backpack and nearly smacked my head on the top of the car and told me, "Stop saying goodbye. It's too final. I'll see you later." Conversations or even goodbyes with Neil were never surface level. He really wanted to know you, and if you were lucky enough, he let you really know him. It was my honor to really know Neil. I knew the silly side, the goofiness that he inserted into every situation he could. I knew the competitive side, the part that told me he could beat me in a race to the car every day, and he did. I knew the philosophical side, most of which came from his dad's beautiful ideals that he transformed into his own beliefs. I knew his adventurous side, the side that wanted to travel the world with Aunt Nita every month of the year. I knew the nurturing side, the part of him that sat with me when I told him I felt lonely, and he brought me a cookie to school the next day. The part of him that told me to come find him if I missed my family while we were at Penn State together, because he was my family up there. If there's one thing I've learned in losing him, it's to be like Neil. Cherish the people that make you love life. Sing in the rain and dance on the tabletops. Take nothing for granted. See the world and be the light in someone's life. Neil, we got it from here. If you ever need anything, I won't be far away. I love you 3,000. See you later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Barish. I was one of Neil's theater directors at Upper Merion. So first, I just want to thank the Patels for having me speak and for Neil's friends for inviting me. All the world's a stage, the saying goes. And there is no one who took that more literally than Neil Patel. I first met Neil at auditions for Upper Merion's production of The 39 Steps. Neil did his audition, and I was dumbfounded. This was a kid who'd never been in a show at the high school before. He was just so compelling on stage. And of course, he got the part. And I think what made him such an engaging performer is the same thing that made him such a good friend, community member, an all-around person, and that is that Neil committed all of himself. He committed 150% to every role he played, job he had, and of course, person he met. There was just something about Neil that you couldn't look away from. The moment he showed up, he had you, and he never let go. The last time I got up to speak in front of a large group like this was actually at a National Honor Society ceremony a couple of years ago. Some of the students especially, were probably there, because you're a bunch of nerds. And I was thinking back to that night, and I really only remembered one thing, and that was that Neil was on stage, just behind me to my right, and in a hazy sea of unfamiliar faces, Neil's was there to ground me. I really gave most of that speech just to him. When I made a joke, I looked at him to make sure it was funny. Neil's encouraging, eager smile was a beacon that guided me through that nerve-wracking experience. So I was worried getting up here today that I wouldn't have that light to cling on to. Without Neil, who do I look at? But I see you all here, and I can see a reflection of that warmth and that radiance that Neil brought to the world. When I wrote that, I was not expecting that picture. Teachers often feel, and adults feel, like we have to be a strong shoulder for our students to lean on. But when I reached out to some of Neil's friends, the responses I got from every one of them, every single one of them, offered love and support back to me. And I know that that strength is Neil's, working through them. That love is Neil's, that kindness, compassion, and energy are all Neil's. Neil has made his exit from this stage, but the massive outpouring of empathy and support we've seen are a testament to the fact that Neil was a once-in-a-generation person. His loss is being deeply felt by a great many, and all of my heart and thoughts are with the Patel family, all of Neil's friends, and everyone else whose heart is breaking with mine. But I am comforted most by two things: the love, strength, and support that Neil has inspired in all of us, and the amazing mental image I have from the 39 steps of Neil wiggling his way out of an armchair from underneath a planked Anna Bobuck laying across his lap. Neil's love and humor are still very much with us, and we can carry that forever. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Molly Levine, and I'm here with Ryan Slusky. We were members of the drama club and the choir with Neil, along with countless activities with Neil, and he was part of about 50 others. Today we will be singing the popular classic, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and the iconic jazz melody, What a Wonderful World, because Neil was both a popular classic and a jazz icon.
way up high. The dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. I somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. The dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. The dream that you dare to, why can't I?
Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white. The bright, blessed day highlights the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dreams that you dare to, why can't I?
Hi everyone, my name is Pooja and I'm Neil's cousin, mostly cousin sister because we grew up together and our birthdays are only 16 days apart. I stand here today not only to mourn but to especially celebrate Neil. There's so much to say about Neil. He was such an extraordinary young man. He was the type of person that instantly lit up the room with his smile and his laugh. The type of person that will be able to spill your feelings out in front of 1 minute and then end up rolling on the floor and laughing over an inside joke the next minute. He was such a soft and kind-hearted soul that always went out of his way to put others before himself. He was the most goofiest person I have ever met and knew the most ridiculous things to say in order to make the whole room crack up. Growing up together, I got the privilege to not only love Neil like my older brother, but to also see him mold himself into such a talented and unique individual that even till this day, it leaves me in awe when thinking about his amazing achievements and accomplishments. As many of you know, Neil's two favorite Bollywood movies were Three Idiots and Tare Zameen Par, which translates to Stars on Earth. I remember that he and I would belt out some of our favorite songs from both movies. I didn't realize that those times, those memories would become something more meaningful for me to cherish. It's no doubt that those songs would always hold a dear place in my heart because of you. Neil, you were the most incredible star on this earth. I am beyond proud of you and I love you so much. Thank you for giving me so many wonderful opportunities. You'll always be my 12 days older brother. I'm not saying goodbye because I promise that I will see you again someday. I just wish the universe gives you some sunshine and it gives you some rain. I wish it gives you another chance so you can grow up once again. Until then, sleep well, my beloved brother, and all is well.
Neil Nini Patel. His life seems short, doesn't it? But one doesn't need a long life to touch so many hearts. This 20-year-old that we honor today is no other than a man that I consider a brother. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kush Patel, and I am Neil's little cousin. Our relationship was more than cousins, though. He took care of me if I was his little brother. He was responsible when it came to me. See, that's when I realized when I moved here in Upper Marion in 2016, and I just wanted to think about me and my dad starting a new opportunity here in a new place, until I realized I saw 3 people that would change my stay. Those 3 people are Hemafoy, Chetanfoy, and especially Neilbai. I remember I used to wait for him when I was in 5th grade. I used to wait for him when he used to come from swimming practice, smelling like chlorinated fish. But that's besides the part where we found a lot of interests within each other. We found a lot common stuff like watching the same shows over and over again until 2 in the morning. Saying that he was a caring person would be an understatement. He changed many people towards a more righteous way of living and thinking. I remember when I was in 7th grade, right after school, I would go to football practice, and on the bus home, I was very tired and hungry. I used to get dropped off near Neil's house, and I used to just carry a lot of weight, a lot of pads and stuff on my back. And I saw Neil park around in the driveway, and then the more clearer the view got, the more faster I started to run, because I was so happy to see him. Just one hug from him would melt every single thing that was gonna be so bad. Sorry. And that hug, which I won't ever forget ever again. I remember that present day, till this day, we would have these deep talks about legacy and how we would be greater than what we thought we were gonna be. Neil, if you can hear me throughout here, if you can hear me here, If I may, I would love to carry your legacy on, and I would really love that. Love you, Neil.
Hi, everyone. My name is Prem, and with me are Neva and Dylan, and we are some of Neil's childhood friends. So I'll start off by saying I'm not the best at speaking casually in public, so I'm sure Neil would call me a stuffy old man after hearing the speech, but let's give it a shot. A measure of how much a man has lived is the amount of lives he has influenced during his time on Earth. And as we can see by the gathering of people, both here in person and online, Neil lived more in his 20 years than some people live in 80. Everyone here has good memories with Neil. For me, one of my fondest is cruising down 422 late at night after Gerba one year, blasting music. It's important that we cherish these memories and keep them in our hearts as we grieve. We must also remember that he's not completely gone. His soul has been divided, one part in heaven, watching us from above, and the rest inhabiting all of us, subconsciously influencing us to be better people than we were yesterday, as he would do were he here in the flesh. Neil truly had an inner light rarely seen in this world, and it's now our duty to inherit his radiance and pay it forward to make the world a better place. Neil was like a brother to me. As we grew older, we didn't get to see each other too often, but when we did, it was like no time had passed at all. And this is more of a testament to Neil rather than me. He excelled at making people feel loved and was always there to give support to those who needed it. It's one of his skills that I truly hope to manifest as I take in part of his soul and inherit some of his radiance. Neil, I love you, I miss you, and I hope you can rest easy knowing that you've left behind a magnificent legacy.
Hi everyone, I'm Dylan. I'm another one of Neil's childhood friends. Neil really brought out, the best qualities in me, best qualities in everyone, but he really allowed me to become the person I am today. He has always been the person to support others and find ways to bring joy. I remember when we were both part of the King and I with the King of Prussia Players many years ago. I was very hesitant in doing it at first. I was scared. I didn't really know if I wanted to do that. But it was because of Neil that I decided to continue. He convinced me and encouraged me to stay, and I'm glad he did because I now have that memory of us being the only two brown people up on that stage. His effect on not just me, but to everyone is truly inspiring, and I hope that I can one day be as influential as he is. Neil, you will forever be a part of my life, and I'll always love you, man. I mourn for you, but I will never forget the countless memories we made growing up. Thank you, Neil, for the many years of friendship and brotherhood that you gave to me. I'll strive to carry on your legacy, and I hope we will get to see each other again in another lifetime. Rest easy, brother.
Hi everyone, my name is Neva. I'm an only child, but growing up with Neil, I never felt that way. He was the annoying younger brother that I never had, but never knew I needed until I met him. He would tease me and run away from me, and I would chase him around the house. He also wouldn't hug me until Chaitan uncle made him, so that did change though, which is a good thing. But like a brother, he would support me and check in on me and give me such amazing advice. His heart was so full of love for so many people, and he knew how to care for people. And I know that this is true because, like many of us here, I was one of those people. Neil has always been a part of my life, and I know that my childhood would not have been the same without him. From such a young age, he inspired me, and that is something that will never change. And it is truly hard to imagine the rest of my life without him. But I'm extremely thankful for all the memories we made over 20 years. Going through life with Neil just made everything better. Spending 2 hours on Sunday at Balvihar learning Gujarati made it much more bearable. so I have him to thank for that. From our first ball Vihar Garba together, Neil always made every Garba after that special. I will also always cherish going to see Lion King and seeing my first Broadway show with Neil and our parents, for you playing the guitar on my birthday, and attempting and really failing at making summer roles with Kristen and Michelle. We all know how hard you fought, and only like you can. And we are also unbelievably proud of you. I want to thank you for everything, for all of the memories, love, and support, and most importantly, thank you for always believing in me, making me laugh, inspiring me, and teaching me, for being the brother that I needed. You're my family, and I love you so much, and I'm gonna miss you more than words can describe, but I want you to know that we're all gonna be okay because you've taught us how to be. We all will continue to carry on your legacy and make you extremely proud the same way that you've made us feel for 20 years. And to the Patel family, I want to say that we're your children, and we will always continue to be here for each other. I love you, Neil.
Let's see if I can get through this. I brought Grace with me up here for moral support in case I can't get through this. So, as you can imagine, standing here to deliver these words will be the most difficult task I will ever have to accomplish. Started out pretty well, all right. I thank all of the assembled here and online today for your love, friendship, guidance, and light during these last 4 extremely difficult months for our family. Before I begin, I want to thank George and this amazing Hope Church community to allow us to celebrate our son in their house of worship. Your members' assistance to us in this time will never be forgotten by our family. Thank you so much. We're here to celebrate our son, Neil, who has been the center of our family's universe since he was born. He arrived, eyes wide open, in dramatic fashion after making his mother endure 45 hours of difficult labor. The next afternoon, he was welcomed into the family by the largest welcoming crowd the hospital had seen, and he was brought into a conference room so we all had enough room to shower him with affection. Neil was truly raised by the village. First and foremost, his mother enveloped him in her tight embrace, showered him with affection, and provided him with a solid base, built of love and quiet confidence. His grandparents, my parents, Rati Bapa and Hani Ba, doted on him as they watched over him during his elementary school years. Grandma Niluba fed him sweets whenever she saw him, and Grandpa Bipin Bapa twisted his arms and legs, and he exercised him and made him laugh and giggle. My sister Nita Foy was his protector, his promoter, and his guardian angel throughout his years. His uncles, Sailesh Mama, Ashish Mama, adored him and carried him around on their shoulders. My younger cousins and friends, young men themselves, spent hours playing catch with him and spoiled him with late-night Nintendo Mario Kart marathons, way too late. Aunt Malika Masi, herself a college student at Temple University at the time, came over for sleepovers on weekends and crawled into his bunk bed with him. All of these wonderful influencers are now adults and parents themselves. As they matured and became young adults, they helped him become a happy young man. It was in his school years that Neil really honed his personality and his wit. His smile was constant. His ears were always listening, his eyes were wide open, and his laugh was infectious. He took in everything the Upper Merion School District had to offer, everything. Academics, sports, music, drama, Model UN. He played a lot of baseball, his favorite game. His love of music led him to play 4 different instruments, allowed him to be mentored by some amazing music teachers and express his creativity. He participated in student government, became a high school leader, and encouraged his friends to have great pride in their school by playing in the marching band drumline and leading the Oi chant at pep rallies. Once a Viking, Neil, always a Viking. Being generous and charitable was in his blood. We once went to a concert in Philadelphia, and it was bitter cold. A homeless man was shivering outside of a restaurant that we went to for a snack. He asked me if we could give him my gloves. Of course. Now, I had just bought these gloves. I always lose the ones from the year before. They were $35, and I found myself having to think and pause for a second. But how could I resist, and how could I not live up to the example I was always trying to set? So I agreed to allow my fingers to freeze. My son, I will always try to make you proud. Sorry. There are 5 flags hanging here around me. 4 of these hung in his room. They represented so much of what he loved. The Penn State flag was for his university that he absolutely loved being at and where he developed so many friendships and was learning to be an independent adult. Then there's the Eagles Nation flag that represented the passion he and I had for our beloved Eagles football team. Being at the Bird Super Bowl parade is one of my finest memories with him. The French flag represented his love of being a Francophile. He was introduced to French by a wonderful language teacher in middle school and continued with it to become a French minor at PSU. He liked the diner-style omelets I made at home on weekend mornings, but he liked the fluffy French omelet he learned to make himself even better. I liked it better too. The Indian flag represented his spiritual side and his cultural and familial connections. And outside his window, on a large flagpole, flies the American flag that represented his loyalty, his pride in our country, where he was blessed with so many opportunities to make his mark. Legacy is something that Neil was already thinking about as a young man. He spoke about it in his high school commencement speech and wondered aloud as to how his class of 2019 would be remembered and how they would remember themselves in the future. Although I had some idea, during the course of his illness, through social media, I learned about Neil's impact on the lives of so many of his friends and even their families. He often lent an ear to their worries, encouraged them in their endeavors, celebrated their victories, and most importantly, held them up in their times of distress. This is Neil's legacy, always thinking about others and promoting positivity with his personality. He was still doing that while he was lying still in his bed fighting COVID's demons. Through our shared stories, he was bringing even more of us together. Neil was raised to be a knight, to fight fiercely for his beliefs, even if they were not my beliefs. Convictions gained through self-exploration and curiosity are much more enduring than those based on coercion and manipulation. He and I often discussed the notion of a modern kind of chivalry that skipped the ancient chauvinism. A chivalry where a man could still be a man, but know when to take a back seat to his leading lady or partner and be kind and nurturing as well. Our second favorite word was humility. He was confident in himself, enough that he never cared about reward or accomplishments and frankly loved celebrating the successes of his friends even more. And what amazing friends he had. His closest friends are a reflection of this great community of ours. They will be the ones to get Hema, I, and Aunt Nita through this most difficult of times and to continue on his work of bringing light to where light is needed. Finally, I want to celebrate my son with one word: bliss. In the Indian Hindu tradition, we have a Sanskrit word. It's Satchit Ananda. that defines the state that we attain to achieve. Sat means being, Chit means consciousness, and Ananda represents a state of blissfulness, pure joy. Religions tell us that we may attain a sense of bliss when we go to heaven or in the afterlife. Neil lived his bliss every day of his young life while here on earth. Sat Chit Ananda was his way of life. If I and we are to truly honor his legacy, then we too will have to find our bliss here in this life. It is attainable if we allow ourselves to experience it as he did. Later today, we will send our son on his next journey. We will cremate and destroy his body so it can be returned to the natural elements from which it came. His spirit will be released to where it must go, and we will look to the stars for his light to guide us, but we'll also have to look within to realize it. We will not be saying goodbye. He never said goodbyes. It was always, see you later. See you later, my dear son. Until we meet again, see you later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Asayu, and I had the privilege to play Neil's son in the musical that this next song is from. That experience really changed my life, and most of it was because of him and the friends I made through that experience. This song is called Be the Hero. Neil's a hero to many of us. He definitely is a hero to me. So I'm very thankful that I get to sing his part of this song and honor him. Thank you. What if I told you you could change the world with just one thought? What if I told you you could be a king? Anything you desired, boy, anything on a plate, all within your power to create. I know somewhere in the darkness there's a story meant for me, where I always know exactly what to say. I know somewhere some surprising ending waits for me to tell it my own way. Be the hero of your story if you can. Be the champion in the fight, not just a man. Don't depend on other people to put paper next to pen. Be the hero of your story, boy, and then you can rise to be the hero once again. Every tale that you invent becomes a life that you make real, where each character you meet becomes your friend. No need to be the story I've been dreaming of. Be the hero every time you get the chance. When the music stops, continue with the dance. On a wing or on a prayer, you'll get there only with your voice. Be attentive, be inventive, be the first one to rejoice. With the story in your heart, you won't need any other choice. You're a hero fighting dragons, winning wars. Be the hero, and the world will soon be yours.
Well, this was supposed to be a celebration roast, as I've done a number of times for other people in the Patel family. But your Uncle Sujan did not have the heart to do that today. We've heard many wonderful words about Neil, and I'd like to add a few as well. Neil has a much longer resume than most of us who have been working for decades. There's nothing I can say to do justice to his illustrious career. Whether music, sports, academics, or complaining about never-ending yard work for his dad, or how deeply he's touched each and every one of us. Early on, I realized physical labor wasn't for Neil. When he was around my daughter's age, probably actually a few years younger, his Aunt Nita and I took him out trick-or-treating in his stormtrooper outfit. After less than a block of walking, he was complaining about being tired. So we carried his candy. Eventually, we carried him. Little did we know that years later, he'd put on the biggest battle of his life. And boy, what a fight he put on. He turned out stronger than all of us. Neil crossed off his bucket list. Many things more than what we could do in a lifetime. How many can cross off flying a plane and working at Taco Bell off their list? I asked him one time, so how's your job at Taco Bell going? He's like, Taco Bell is going great. No one ever said that, but Neil did. Taco Bell's getting a lot of free advertising today. He never had a negative word to say about anyone or anything, and I don't say that just to say that. I actually tried to recall a single word he ever said. He never, ever said anything negative. When he graduated high school, he sent beautiful thank you notes to everyone after his graduation party. I was frankly shocked that he did that, and I asked him, how much did your dad pay you to write those thank you notes? So he responded to me over text. He actually threatened to take money away from me if I didn't. I'm going to miss Neil's sarcastic wit and humor. Neil, I wish we could have celebrated more birthdays together, buddy. I thought you'd follow our footsteps, but it turns out we're going to end up following yours. It wasn't supposed to be this way, but we're going to keep learning from you for years to come. Lately, the planet Saturn, if anyone's looked out at the night sky, has been visible and shining quite brightly. I'd like to think Neil has gained a pair of rings, and he's shining down on us, letting us know he's all right. I can literally see Neil as a toddler running around here right now in front of us causing mischief, as he normally would have at a large gathering or party. Keep soldiering on through the cosmos, Stormtrooper Nini. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace. I also brought somebody for moral support up here. I'm going to be reading the words from Neil's nurse practitioner, Kush. Kush unfortunately could not make it today, so I'm very honored to have read their words. To Neil's beloved family and friends, we gather here to celebrate, to mourn, and to give thanks to Neil, who embodied the best in people. When I first met him in room 3009, as one of my youngest patients on ECMO, we had less than 24 hours to converse with him before he required a breathing tube. During those hours, he was afraid, but thankful. He was anxious, but not alone. He knew he was getting progressively sick, but he remained strong, optimistic as we did. He lost his battle to his sickness after a very long fight. Today, I want to share his memories and cherish the person that he was. Neil was a remarkable young man who made his mark on a number of people in such a short time. His energy, optimism, and zest for life was palpable through his family and friends at his bedside. His room was decorated with pictures and gifts from friends and family near and far. He had a funny collection of socks. Every day he would have a different pair, funnier than the last. At any hour of the day or night, we could hear music playing, whether it be the Queen or the classical Indian music. His friends even organized a live concert in his room online. His love for art speaks the most to me. His picture with his grandfather in front of Monet's water lilies bore witness to his refined taste. When I think of Neil's life and his battle with illness, I find comfort in the words of Dr. Oliver Sacks. Once he found he had a terminal disease, he wrote, "I cannot pretend I am without fear, but my predominant feeling is one of gratitude. I have loved and been loved. I have been given much, and I have given something in return. I have read and traveled and thought and written." To Neil, may he rest in peace.
So I'm Malika. For those of you that may not know me, I carry the prize title of being Nini's Malika Masi. I wanted to say something to my Didi Jijaji Anita Bin. There's no words to express or comprehend the depth of your grief. We're devastated and we stand with you. Thank you for always opening your hearts and your home and sharing Nini with all of us, for allowing his light to shine on all of us. Your nurturing and your love has been limitless. Watching you raise Neil through the years has pushed us all to be better parents. You've taught us all unconditional love and the value of never giving up, no matter the circumstances. As parents, you are gubber gun, as Nini would say. We love you. To my dear Nini, our hearts are shattered. There are no words to make sense of why this happened. You have lit up so many lives with your sunshine personality and eternal light. Every memory of you, Nini, is a treasure that fills me with gratitude for the time that we did share. During my 4 years at Temple, you were my escape to a simple sanctuary filled with endless, innocent love. Like most college freshmen, I lived for my weekends, but it's not what you think. I'd ride the SEPTA to Norristown to come spend the weekend with you. My Saturday and Sunday mornings began with you repeatedly pleading, "Malika Masi, wake up, Malika Masi, uti jao," until you succeeded in having us all together at the breakfast table. You've always had a way of bringing everybody together. My memories and moments with you during that time were simple: meals and bath time, playing with Thomas the Train, watching A Bug's Life over and over again, sleeping in your bunk bed with you, sharing, maybe hogging your Game Boy, and lots of hugs, kisses, and tickles weaved into it all. My memories of those years are soaked with love. As you've grown up, you've only awed us further with your talented yet humble nature. Neil Massa and I foxtrotting to your saxophone serenade of Fred Astaire's "The Way You Look Tonight" at our wedding will always be one of the greatest honors and fortunes of our lives. There is some comfort in knowing that in your short time with us, you've touched so many lives with your love and kindness. You've filled so many hearts with joy and laughter through your musical serenades and presence on stage. And you've achieved and excelled at life experiences that many of us can only dream of. After all, how many of us can say that we've learned to fly an airplane by age 16? But most important of all, your charisma and kindness have elevated us. Being in your presence has brought out the best version of ourselves. That is the magic of you, Nini. You have made each and every one of us in this room feel special and loved just by being in your presence. I only hope you know how loved and cherished you are. I love you, Nini, and I thank you for loving me, for always making me laugh, and for making me your Malika Masi, the honor of my life. You are unequivocally Gabargan in all of our hearts, and your light shines within all of us. Till we meet again, love always, your Malika Masi.
Hi everyone, my name's Aman. I think I was around 4 or 5 years old when me and my family moved to King of Prussia from Ohio. Neil was probably my first friend and my only friend in that town. We did everything together. I could list them, but everyone will fall asleep by the time I'm done with that list. After I moved with my family, me and Neil had made a promise to each other to stay in touch as much as we could. Little did I know that he would be living the busiest life in middle school and high school with everything that he's done. We tried to keep in touch as much as we could. And the last time me and Neil spoke was 2 days before he had contracted COVID. That same day, we were actually joking around and applauding each other for staying in touch and keeping our promise and maintaining our friendship through whatever stages of life we were going through. Unfortunately, I didn't know that'd be my last goodbye to my brother. If I knew, I feel like I would have made a point to let him know how much I appreciated him and how grateful I was for having him in my life. He was my brother. He was someone I could rely on, someone I could always made me smile, someone I could trust, someone that inspired me. The one thing that stood out from our friendship was Neil's fearlessness. Even though he only lived 20 years, it seemed as if he had done more by that age than most people do in their lifetime. He lived his life to the fullest. I want to quickly look back on one memory that really stands out, specifically from those classic barbecue and pool parties that Jaitan Uncle used to have in the backyard. I never knew how to swim, like as a kid at all whatsoever. But I was jealous because Neil was having so much fun in the pool, and I wanted to join him. And I remember he used to have these mini rockets that he used to throw to the bottom of the pool, swim all the way down, grab them, come straight back up, smiling as if it was an easy task. And I think Neil knew how scared I was of going in the water, and he didn't even ask, no courtesy, nothing. Grabbed my arm, pulled me down, took me down with him. And we got the rockets, we came back up, and I may have been coughing out water, struggling to find some breath, but I would just see Neil smiling at me, and I felt like I was on top of the world. I think if he was here right now, he would tell me to shut up and stop crying. He would always find the positive in whatever was going on. He would encourage me to try something new and then ask me, hey, Aman, what's your next adventure? What's the next thing you're trying to do? A true friend is never truly gone. Their spirit and legacy lives on in the memories of those who love them. So to continue his legacy, I look to live life fearlessly, just like Neil did. I look to smile through everything, just like Neil did. And there's one song that I listen to that reminds me of him more than anyone. And for those of you who know Hindi or Bollywood, Ye Dosti Hum Nahi Todenge. Love you, Neil. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Justin. The last time I spoke in front of this community was at the 2019 Upper Merion graduation ceremony. On that night, just 2 short years ago, I was speaking beside Neil as class commencement speakers. I never imagined that the next time I'd be speaking in front of this group of people, I would be speaking about Neil, unless I was introducing his run for office or announcing his triumphant return Tony Award in hand. I came to really know Neil through theater. He came into it late, relatively speaking, in high school, auditioning for the first time in his junior year. But for Neil, it didn't matter, because Neil is what we call in show business a star. He stormed onto stage and regaled us with some crackpot story about corralling his grandfather around Paris. And in seconds, he owned the stage, because Neil possesses a rare and precious quality in theater called stage presence. It's the quality of captivating an audience with little to no effort, just in the way that you carry yourself and connect with others. It's something that can't really be taught. And I've been watching old performances of Neil's this week, and whenever he comes on stage, I can't take my eyes off him. His presence is profound and dominant, but never obscene or intrusive. For Neil, it is effortless, because he is simply ever present. His presence extends far beyond the stage. In his congratulatory bear hugs in the hallways that squeeze gasping laughs out of you, in long car rides and long nights at Model UN or sitting by a fire, where you share music and memories of old times, and in moments of insecurity and grief, where he listens so intently that he ends up sharing hope and love. His presence is so great that there are people honoring him here today, not because they know him personally, but because he touched their lives without them even knowing it at the time. Neil is the definition of a star, not just because of his accomplishments on stage, but because it's a truly apt title for someone like him. Someone who is not only charismatic, confident, poised, and charming, but also because he is a beacon to those around him, projecting a constant aura of light and warmth. People rally around Neil wherever he goes. I've referred to Neil in the present tense throughout, because someone whose presence looms so large is never really gone. I'm especially grateful now for the recordings of the shows we participated in together, because I don't have to just search for his presence in my heart and soul and memory, but have the ability to see him vibrant and vivid and hilarious, only the way he is in front of my eyes again. Someone so dedicated to theater lives on in the performances and in the lives he touched. When we spoke together at commencement, Neil ended his speech with a quote from the movie Avengers Endgame. "I love you 3,000, he said." So I think it's only fitting to end with another more recent Marvel quote. What is grief if not love persisting? Neil's presence looms so large and captures so much spirit and love that our love for him will never fade.
Hello, my name is Sarah Baranak, and this is my cousin Anna Bobok. We both did theater with Neil. Anna did it through high school, and I did it through Firebird. And we just had to sing this song for him because he was just wickedly talented and defied gravity in every aspect of his life. So we want to dedicate this to him and his beautiful family. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game.
Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes
and leave. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity, and you can't pull me down.
I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know.
Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I'd sooner buy defying gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity,
and you can't pull me down.
So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves the chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free.
To those who'd ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I am defying gravity.
I'm flying high, defying gravity. Up in the sky, defying gravity. With you and I, defying gravity. They'll never bring us down.
So yes, I am the Magic Carpet Lady. To all of you and the village behind it, I'm honored and I'm devastated that I've had to assume the title. But more importantly, I'm honored to be here on behalf of everyone and the community. I wasn't going to share a story because there's been so many, but there's one that keeps coming back and back and back. And Hema, I think it's because Neil keeps bringing it back to me because it's the first time we met. And it was standing on the sideline of the football field of King of Prussia Indians with his cute little flag football uniform on, all of this big, and his beautiful long eyelashes and hair that any girl would want and die for. And he looked up and he was arguing in my opinion, arguing with his mother, right? And I don't even know what the subject was or what was spoken. But I looked at him and I said, "You shouldn't argue with your mother." And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not arguing, I'm debating." And then he turned around to Hema and he goes, "Can we finish this at home?" And from that moment on, Hema, of course, looked at him, and from that moment on, our lives have been just connected forever. So for that, the whole Littlewood family is forever grateful. I wrote some more things down because this is what I was actually going to say. So many things today have been said, so many stories shared, so many tears, so much hurt, so much love. Neil has brought a community together of people that would have never met under any other circumstance, and that's who Neil was, and that's who Neil will continue to be. And I'm here to talk about the continuing to be. Whatever it meant and whatever this all means, why this had to happen, I don't have that answer. But what I can do is offer to you what I think we should do for Neil going forward. Be a knight, be a warrior, be a friend, be positive because it ran through his veins. Be present. And Wendy, I added this. I had to borrow a pen from a gentleman in the audience, and thank you for that. Be a ripple. Be a ripple in someone else's life, and be a ripple in your own. Try each day to just take a little bit of the heart of what you have inside of you of Neil and give it to somebody else. I know he would want to make sure his parents were okay. I know he would want to make sure that his grandparents were okay. He would have his hand on one of your shoulders. He would make sure the car door was open, and he would be checking on everyone. We are all here to check on each other. Thank you. Neil Strong.
Hey everyone. I'm not much of a public speaker, so I might go quiet in the middle, so FYI. So for people who don't know me, my name is Hema Rana, and I'm also an honorary Patel as well. I've met Neil for the first time when he was 7 years old. In my initial interactions with him, I was his Gujarati teacher. I used to go to his house on Sundays and teach him Gujarati for an hour or so. One Sunday, I decided, let's go to Burger King. I'm not the best driver still, and that was the first time I had a kid in my car. So we went to Burger King, and while coming back on Allendale Road, I was speeding a little bit, so the cops stopped me. And when they stopped me, I said, "Oh, sorry, that was a slope," and I didn't realize not the best excuse, but I'm like, "Oh, sorry, that was a slope." They gave me a warning and let me go. I turned around, and first thing I told Neil, "Do not tell your dad, because I'll get in trouble." We went home. He ate his Burger King. I went back, and next thing I know, he told his dad. His dad was saying, "Do not teach my child to lie." And I was like, Neil was not the best liar. Similar to this, I got an opportunity in the 13 years I was in his life to build more memories. We went to a lot of festival celebrations, birthday celebrations, vacations, attended all of his plays. I've had the opportunity to see him grow into this amazing, kind-hearted person who's loving and very nurturing. Neil, I love you so much, and I'm really going to miss you. And to his parents, I just want to let you guys know that Nita Foy, Chetanbhai, and Hema Bhabhi, you guys are not alone. We're always here for you, and we'll always be here. So. Okay.
All right. So, I really didn't have anything planned. Honestly, I am absolutely winging this, and honestly, I'm not a person who's typically lost with words. I always have something to say at any given time. But it's been many days that I've been thinking through this, and nothing has crossed my mind. I met Neil when he was 5, and that's when Chetanbhai and Bhabhi opened the doors for an unknown person on the only words of their cousin, Vaishal. Not only did he open the doors for me, but he opened the entire Patel family to me. Yes, we too, both of us, brother and sister, are honorary Patels, but the brown version. I remember walking through those doors, and I saw Neil for the first time. His face was painted with, I guess, a tiger. He just came back from Philadelphia Zoo, I assume, with Aman. And I was like, man, this kid is cute. He's so cute. And today, I still walk into that room, I see his pictures, and it's like, damn, man, you're still cute. And also, I love that hair. We had many fun times together. I guess what I believe, assuming myself to be his best frunkle. When it came to listen to explicit hip-hop songs which his dad didn't like, to slipping in some Manhattans when he's still underage. By the way, that was my favorite drink. It turned out to be his favorite drink, and he mastered the mixture. So, as we have heard from many today, he was a man of many talents and a heart that was so large for all of us. I wish that today we all walk away and share his legacy and try to be as humble and joyful as Neil was, and impart the same to our children. I do not say goodbye, but I will say till we meet again. Cheers, my boy.
Hi, everybody. To anybody that doesn't know who I am, I'm Neil's older cousin, or as he likes to call me, Virali Ben. As anybody would know growing up, Neil and I were very different. I was always the quiet and shy one. He was always the loud one. Neil was always getting in trouble by everybody, and I was always sitting in the background, laughing and giggling, watching him get yelled at. Even till the very end, I would always be screaming, "Hail to Pitt," and he would be running behind me screaming, "We are Penn State." It was about, I think, my sophomore year of college when I got a phone call from Neil in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m., and he goes, "Hey, I'm drunk, and I can't drive home. Can you come pick me up?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll be there in 6 hours. I'm leaving Pittsburgh right now." He's like, "Okay, I'll call someone else, I guess." I was like, "All right, text me when you get home." Less than 30 seconds later, I get a phone call from Neil saying, "Hey, I'm too drunk to drive home. Can you come pick me up?" I never ended up checking up on him after that to make sure he made it home, but clearly he did. But that's just the kind of person that Neil was. He could make you smile from being so far away. And as my boyfriend so beautifully put it last night, this isn't the ending. This is just the next chapter. And to Nita Foy, I want to say, this is the next chapter of me, you, and Neil together. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nisha, Neil's other cousin. Neil and I grew up together, and we spent many Christmases, Thanksgivings, birthdays, and pool parties together. A few months ago, when Neil was first admitted to the hospital, Verily and I FaceTimed him from college. I'm sure he felt scared and exhausted, but he still joked around with us and made us laugh. His optimism and strength, especially in the past 4 months, has showed us what it meant to be Neil Strong. He has changed the lives of so many people with his kind smile, and he will continue to do so with his story. It is a true honor knowing such a caring, funny, and talented person. We love you, and we miss you, Neil.
Okay, so this may be a little raw and not as rehearsed as all of the other speeches perhaps because I had to write them last minute. I've been busy planning Neil's party, his last party. As many of you know, I've been planning Neil's parties for the last 20 years. So thank you to everyone that sang and wrote speeches and just attended because I think Neil would love this. I am Neil's Nita Foy, also known as Aunt Nita. It's ironic that as a writer, I have no eloquent words to share with you today. No profound quotes or passages that describe who Neil was to me. I'm not sure how to summarize the love he gave me over this 7,567 days
15 hours and 34 minutes he was in his body on this earth. I can't describe to you the immeasurable happiness he gave me in the 1,081 weeks he lived. I give you all these numbers and statistics on time because time is an important concept when you think of Neil and I. While I had more time with Neil than most of you in this room, it was certainly never enough. It was never enough for me, and I'm sure it wasn't enough for you either. Paraphrasing Winnie the Pooh, every day spent with you is my favorite day, so Neil, today is still my favorite day. Everyone used to tell Neil how lucky he was to have an aunt like me to spoil him with love and affection and things and experiences. But whenever I would hear that, I would smile silently inside and say to myself, no, I'm the lucky one. Neil taught me how to love unconditionally and accept love in return. He gave love to me in abundance. Every moment of time that I have spent with Neil is imprinted on my heart as if it happened yesterday. From having him in the nook of my arm as a baby, chasing him around as a toddler, fulfilling his every wish, every ball game, musical performance, every theater show where he was always sure to find me in the audience and give me a wink to say, I see you. Even more special were the simpler times where we just sat and talked. From the moment you could say words, Neil, to our last conversation, I remember every word. It's easy to remember all of these things because Neil, my unicorn of a boy, was more than a person. He was a feeling of pure joy and safety and innocence and laughter and love. In the last few months, I've heard Neil described as a warrior, a fighter. People were amazed by his sheer physical strength to endure 4 unimaginable months of pain as he fought to come back to his family. But I'd like to share another side of Neil with you that I feel I knew best, his tender heart. The role I took most seriously as his aunt was being his soft place to land, a safe place to land his tears and his fears, and he trusted me with what I believed to be all of them.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the RCL podcast.
They didn't come up often, but when they did, he would lay them on my mind, and we would work through them. Over the last few years, a recurring theme kept surfacing when we would talk about his fears. He would call me after uncontrollable bouts of tears and tell me he had them and why. In one of those calls, he said, I haven't been able to hug my grandparents in a year, and I know I'm running out of time. Seeing this vulnerability in him, I set out to make him stronger and imprint him with concepts of savoring the moment, building memories, and not looking at our inevitable passings as a loss, but as an opportunity to carry on our legacy of hard work and determination to be something, to do something good. I tried to make concepts of death and dying easier for him. And on this very week, just 2 years ago, Neil and I sat amongst the beautiful trees of Muir Woods in California, and I said, Neil, when I die, I want you to return at least some of me to the earth right here in this place. I said, it might be illegal, but sneak me into your backpack and do it anyway. He chuckled at the concept of me telling him to break the law, but I could see his eyes tinge with sadness, so I said it again. We've been so lucky, the 6 of us. Ba, Mom, Dad, me, and Neil. Our 6-pack. We have loved and lived more in our time together than most do in a lifetime. Don't remember me in sadness, I told him, Neil. I grounded him in lyrics from La La Land, the song Audition. And I say them to you now, Neil. You captured a feeling, a sky with no ceiling, the sunset inside a frame. You died with a flicker, and I'll always remember your flame. It is not without irony that I face you today, realizing that my tender-hearted boy, the one filled with worried about losing his elders, literally ran out of time. Perhaps he was so tender-hearted that leaving us early has saved him from what he dreaded most, Fate has left us with the grim responsibility instead. And so I try to use my own words of wisdom to comfort me. In the past week, I've drawn on happier times, like the lucky day we had in France, where we went to Saint-Chapelle, saw Sunday Mass at Notre Dame, caught the Mona Lisa in the Louvre with no wait, accidentally stumbled on the end of the Tour de France by accident, and as if all of that wasn't enough, got last-minute tickets to Lollapalooza in Paris. He begged me to let him make his way to the front of the crowd to see Nine Inch Nails, and I reluctantly let him go. I stood in the rain for 2 hours worrying, but then he emerged in his white shirt drenched with a broad smile and hugged me deeply and said, "This was the best day of my life." I'm sure you've heard that phrase from him too. I'm fairly certain that Neil felt most of his days were the best days of his life. But our best days have turned into our worst days. Over the last 4 months, our luck turned, and our sweet boy was forced to face unimaginable pain, more than anyone would deserve, but especially more than he, my sweet boy, deserved. We know Neil did not deserve this ending, and we know mistakes were made in his care. We know he just never caught the break he needed, and our luck and my boy's luck ran out. Am I ready to face this reality? No, I'm not. There is no part of me that doesn't believe that Neil isn't going to come bounding through those doors and onto the stage and sing a tune. There's no part of me that doesn't believe he isn't coming bursting through my front door, singing my name as he always did. Nita Foy, I love you. What am I going to do, Neil? How am I to deal with no more dinners and deep conversation? No more laughing at the stupidest things? No more 2 a.m. phone calls because that was when you had 2 hours to catch up? No more hugs, no more I love yous. Neil, where do we go from here? Only a few of us know what Neil's last 4 months really looked like as he fought to come back to his family. It was painful and it was horrifying. And the only silver lining is that I was there. I was there with my boy, running my hands through his hair, placing my hand on his forehead, holding his hand, and screaming to him, I love you, Neil. I'm so proud of you. You have given me the best days of my life. And even with all the bruises and blood and scars, I tell you, my boy remained beautiful all throughout his battle. As the grim last few days came closer, I wondered how we, what is left of the six-pack, will do to survive. If Neil died, we would be destroyed, and in that would be destroyed our entire legacy, including Neil's. Knowing I couldn't let that happen, I made a promise. I promised him I would not crumble. I promised him I would take care of his beloved Baba and Mom and Dad. I promised him that while I would feel bitter and angry, I wouldn't live bitter and angry because he would not have wanted that. I promised him this doesn't change anything. We will still go everywhere we planned, do everything we said we could. We would just have to do it differently. I thanked him for being a teacher, teaching me that we are more than our bodies. We are the way we live, and my boy only lived with love. To all of you, I say, do not try to comfort me. There is no comforting me right now. There is only one person that can get me through this, and that's Neil. I haven't stopped talking to him, and I think he's still talking to me. I think he'll make sure his six-pack is okay because that's just who he is. In closing, I'd like to thank my parents for giving me the strength to try to save Neil. While I failed, I want you to know that crying with you helped me to be strong for him. To my brother Chetan and my sister-in-law Hema, thank you for sharing Neil with me. It is evident from everything we've heard today and what we already knew, you raised an exceptional young man. And to Neil's friends, we could not have gotten through this without you. seeing how much you love Neil and how much he must have touched you enough for you to want to spend all of this time with us in our misery and pain. To CJ and Haley, who picked flowers and remembered to make a jar for Aunt Nita. To the two Graces who I can now finally tell apart. To sweet Maddie, who came down the steps and hugged me last night and whispered, "There are cookies upstairs." To Andrew, who held Neil's hand more than once and prayed for him with his whole heart. To Drew, who introduced me to indigo blue. To sweet Sal, who remembered to look for me last night before he left to give me a hug. To sweet Sarah Adams, who has never met me before and yet threw her arms around me and held my hand, giving me all her strength. And lastly, to Nick, Neil's best friend. We are linked not only by our birthdays, but for our love for our best friend, Neil. You will all be, the young people and all of us, an important part of carrying on Neil's legacy. We hope you will continue to help us do that. And to my sweet, sweet Neil, thank you for loving me. I will keep my promise. I will be like Neil. I will not be bitter. I will carry on your legacy. I will keep you in my heart and on my mind forever and in everything I do. Je t'aime beaucoup, mon petit prince. I will love you forever.
Hey everyone. That's better. Hi, I'm Grayson Davidoc, and this is Sophie Jordan. We're friends of Neil's from high school theater and music. I chose this song because some of my fondest memories with Neil are of us blasting and singing music in the car together. And Jeremy Jordan, the original performer of this song, is one of our shared favorites from Broadway. I can remember singing a ton of his songs, this one included. And the lines in this one strike me a little differently now, as I'm sure any of you who knew him know how motivating and inspiring he was. Neil, I hope you're singing this one with me one more time. I love you, brother.
Till the moment I found you, I thought I knew what love was. Now I'm learning what is true, that love will do what it does. The world finds ways to sting you, and then one day it decides to bring you something to believe in for even a night. One night may be forever, but that's alright, that's alright. And if you're gone tomorrow, what was ours still will be. I have something to believe in, now that I know you believed in me.
We was never meant to meet, and then we meet, who knows why. One more stranger on the street, just someone sweet passing by. An angel come to save me, who didn't even know you gave me something to believe in for even a day. One day, maybe forever, but that's okay, that's okay. And if I'm gone tomorrow, what was ours still will be. I have something to believe in, now that I know you believed in me. into my eyes and see. And if I'm gone tomorrow,
there still will be.
I have something to believe in, now that I know you believed in me. I have something to believe in, now that I know you believed in me.
All right, I'm glad I spoke first, let me tell you. Okay, well, you know, Neil would never forgive us if we put on a big celebration like this and he did not have a speaking part. We heard so many great stories about Neil, but now we are going to hear from Neil. So we're asking everybody if you could please make sure your phones are silenced and everybody could please be quiet and listen.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the RCL podcast. I'm your host, Neil Patel, and today we have an exciting topic for you regarding how chivalry really isn't dead. I believe in being a knight. My dad would always sit me down when I was little and tell me about his favorite stories of King Arthur and the Round Table. He focused on the idea of chivalry. You open the door for a woman, you pull their seat out for them, things like this. Now today especially, the idea of chivalry could have a twisted meaning. Over the past 50 years, the rightful empowerment of women has led to a large shift in what it means to be a man in life and in treating women. Coming from a family where my mom was the breadwinner and my dad rose me to be a gentleman, I gained a unique perspective as how one is a strong man by accepting the newer dynamic between men and women. Whether or not the whole raising me to be a gentleman ended up working out or not, I have no clue. However, he did point out one stark point on the premise of chivalry a few years back. The best way to be a man who treats a woman correctly is to be chivalrous, but not chauvinistic. Being 19 and virtually unknowing of living as a competent adult, I don't have much of a place to speak on this issue. However, one of my favorite authors is still known for his points and ideas of what it means to be a true man. C.S. Lewis spoke towards how for so long men could be categorized into two types, whether they are barbaric or whether they are meek. To be barbaric meant you will fight and protect and be the strong man, the traditional strong man, but you would not treat women or children with respect. To be meek meant you were able to treat women and children with love and affection, but you were weak in terms of protecting your family or fighting. And thus, C.S. Lewis spoke about what it means to be a knight. He says, "The knight is a man of blood and iron, a man familiar with the sight of smashed faces and the ragged stumps of lopped-off limbs. He is also a demure, almost maiden-like guest in hall, a gentle, modest, unobtrusive man." The knights we know from stories led themselves to be as such, the highest level of what a man could be, not just by being a soldier, but by holding himself to the highest standard to treat everyone around him with respect and integrity. From the tales of King Arthur came the image of the Knights of the Round Table, a legendary group of the most well-trained warriors and diplomats our world has ever seen. Knights could be characterized by their skill on the battlefield, but that would make them equal to barbarians. What separates the knight from any other class of warrior is that the knight will return home to care for his family and raise his children alongside his wife. He would be able to sympathize and more empathize with his world and the people in it than the men that could match his skill. Now, all of these lessons sound great on paper, but how would I or any other young man use this in the real world? I think the only way I can answer that so far with my limited knowledge is the word that I've continued to repeat throughout this piece: respect. The idea of chivalry isn't dead. It's only evolved to a point where we as men must hold ourselves to a standard that we will treat anyone around us with the utmost respect as we can provide. We've only killed the chauvinism in chivalry. Now, we have to treat the people that make up our lives with respect. So, continue to open the door for another person. Don't pride yourself for being the nice guy just because there are men who treat others through cruelty, because acting with respect should be the standard, not the exception. Remain humble and treat others around you the way you hope strangers will one day treat your children. Be a knight. Be a man.
Thank you, Neil. And the family would like to thank Anna Simone for saving those words and for bringing them to light and sharing them with them so they could share it with all of you today. Thank you.
I'm Brian Horaho. I was lucky enough to be Neil's choir director in high school, and all the folks behind me were either, I know them through high school, through Upper Marion, or through Firebird Theater over the past several years in which Neil was also involved. Fran asked me on Monday, would you be able to, because the family would love to have not just speeches, but to have music, would you be able to organize people to do the music? And of course, making something out of nothing isn't my forte, but I was like, well, yeah, we'll make something happen. We'll figure something out. And as you can see, it wasn't very hard. One of his childhood friends earlier, I believe it was Prem, who was saying, what's the measure of a life? Which is basically what we're about to sing. The measure of the life of Neil is very obvious today, of the unbelievable myriad of ways in which he's touched all of our lives. And the song we're about to share and finish with today says the ultimate measure of life is the amount of love that you've shared with others. My brother, this is for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to tell you how we're going to do the processional, right? We have about 50 minutes to do a processional with about 1,100 people here. So I want to do it a little bit differently than maybe some of you are used to doing. What I want to do is I want to give a chance for everyone to pass by the casket. And but there's no way that the Patel family can meet and greet every one of you in 50 minutes. It's just impossible. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have the far left side. I'm going to ask you guys all to stand up, and then you're going to come up and you're going to go past the casket, and then you're going to go around the room, and then I'm going to have the second crew go through, and then I will get the people that is in the lobby to come through. I just want the Patel family to feel the presence that all of you have had and how you've had an interaction in Neil's life. And so why don't we have that last crew stand up right now? Could you stand up? Yeah, thank you. And then the front, if you guys can lead them up past the casket. Thank you so much. And I will introduce the second crew in a bit.